Welcome back to another Modern Day Wise Woman episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to you about the 5 signs or red flags that you want to pay attention to because it may mean that it's time for you to end your relationship with your partner. First thing that I want to say is if you're watching this video, you're incredibly brave because so many people are in toxic relationships or negative relationships and they're trying to convince themselves that they're not, even though their intuition is telling them that something is off here. And additionally, there are people who don't want to look at the truth. They don't want to know the truth because they would rather be in a toxic relationship than be by themselves or have to deal with creating a brand new life from scratch. It's tough. Looking at your relationship is scary. You never know where you're going to land, and it's just hard. If you are watching this, you are a brave soul, you are a courageous soul, you are somebody who is definitely on a higher vibration and in tune with how important self-love truly is. The very first thing that you want to be paying attention to is your integrity. And specifically what I mean by that is the way that you are taking care of yourself. Here's an example. A lot of times people who are in a negative relationship or a toxic relationship, they'll start to have really bad habits develop. Things like overspending or racking up their credit card or not paying for things on time. Also things like, not going to class if you're a student or calling in sick a lot for work, not showing up when you're expected at a meeting with friends or an outing with friends. You're just not being a person who has a high level of integrity. If this is happening and it's been happening since you started your relationship, you definitely want to look at why you're doing this. What is making you feel like not honoring your word and not being a person of integrity is what's necessary for this relationship to work. So I would recommend, write it down and start looking at the different areas of your life and see where your integrity is out. And then, like I said, ask yourself, why? Why are you doing this now that you're with this person? The very next thing that I want to talk to you about is your health. One of the huge red flags for people, and particularly when I'm working with women, is they'll notice that their bodies start to go all funky. Like they were healthy, they were feeling good, and suddenly they're exhibiting weird things like maybe signs of anxiety or signs of depression. So if your mood is changing a lot, you want to be paying attention to that. Additionally, there will be things like rapid weight gain or rapid weight loss. What's another one? Another one is, for example, if you're getting all of a sudden lots of headaches or yeast infections. That is your body telling you that there is something happening. There is something that isn't right here. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's only your relationship that's causing it, but I'm simply saying if you're watching this video and you're questioning whether or not you're in a healthy relationship, then health is one of the things that you want to be paying attention to. Next, you want to be paying attention to your growth. Are you growing? One of the things that I will notice, and many people will say this, people who are relationship experts or people who are therapists or coaches will tell you that if since you've gotten into your relationship, all of a sudden, all the dreams that you had, all the goals that you had created, all these visions that you had for yourself that you were pursuing, if you're no longer pursuing them, then that's definitely a red flag. A lot of times people feel like they have to lower themselves or they have to diminish themselves or like they can't continue to do what they want and also be in a loving and healthy relationship. Feel like they're not going to be able to keep that person. So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, I'm going to give up on my dreams. I'm going to give up on my goals. I'm going to change who I am, reorganize my entire self so that I can be with this person. Healthy relationships that are considered spiritual partnerships, do not require you to change the entire person that you are, abandon all of the things that you say that you want for your life. You're in a healthy relationship, you will find somebody who vibrates at the same frequency as you, and so they encourage you to go after your dreams and to never give up on them. Somebody that you're with who may be insecure, self-centered, maybe even narcissistic will constantly be asking you to give up things for you. Or if they're not directly asking you to give up things for you, what you'll find is that when you go off and you pursue those things, they punish you or withdraw their love. Maybe it's the silent treatment, maybe it's they're not available all of a sudden, maybe it's they exclude you or leave you out, or they don't share intimately with you or withhold sex. These are some of the things that somebody would do if they're not feeling good, or for you, if you're on the receiving end of these kinds of things, then it's a good indication that there's definitely something off in your relationship. The next sign that you want to be paying attention to is, are you being isolated? What I mean by this is when you're in a relationship, absolutely at the very beginning, oftentimes you have that honeymoon phase where you guys can't get enough of each other and you just want to spend constant alone time with each other and be like bunny rabbits. But there comes a point where you really have to take a look at, do you have any of your friends and family left in your life? If you're noticing that people who you really admire, people who you really respect and love to spend time with, now suddenly they don't want to spend time with you, they don't really enjoy being around you, or if you're with somebody who suddenly doesn't want you to like hang out with your friends or wants you to sort of not hang out with certain groups of people, like they might say, I don't really feel comfortable with you hanging out with guys, or I don't feel comfortable with you hanging out with women. You really want to be paying attention to that. It can be a sign of jealousy and insecurity on their part. And if you are now, basically abandoning your friends, abandoning your friendships, and only having this person in your life, that's usually a very, very huge red flag of even greater problems to come in the future. Last but not least, this is all the tips that I'm giving you, all the red flags that I'm asking you to pay attention to are very important, but this one is probably the most important, and it's all about abuse. If somebody is hitting you, if somebody is being physically violent with you, there's nothing else for you to even pay attention to or look at. You need to leave that relationship immediately. And I say this as somebody who has done an extensive amount of training in the area of domestic violence with women, and who also had many female mentors, including my mom, who did a lot of work in shelters. I am not kidding you guys when I say this. If somebody is physically putting their hands on you, you have to seek help and you have to get out. It's only going to escalate and it is only going to get worse. Anytime you have heard of scenarios or situations where somebody's only been hit once, that's either a lie or it's a huge exception. If anyone's pushing you against walls, if anyone is slapping you, grabbing you, forcing you to be intimate with them and you don't want that, you need to leave. Just be very clear about that. There are also other forms of abuse, which maybe I'll do another video on. Emotional abuse, verbal abuse, if you're being called names, you're being belittled. Also, I talked in the previous point about being controlled and stuff like that. These are huge flags. It's like you need to get out. Okay, so that concludes the 5 signs, and I hope that this video was massively impactful and helpful for you. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends and family. Invite them to come to this channel and tell them to subscribe. But don't forget, for you also want to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already, because it ensures that you find out about my videos the moment that they're published and released. Self-Love Masterclass is published every Tuesday, so be sure to come back next week for another video. So if you're not following me already on Instagram, you can find me there. My handle is @ModernDayWiseWoman, and that is the same handle that I am using for Periscope. You guys, it has been such a pleasure to do this video for you. If you have video requests, please leave them in the comments below, or questions. You can leave those in the comments below too. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week.